Perfect. And so up next, we got Su Mudaerji, and fighting another one of our Canadian boys. We may need to remove the Beaver bias on this one, but Malcolm Gordon, he comes in sporting that 12-4-0 record. Both of them actually have identical records. And what I saw in Malcolm Gordon's UFC debut, he actually didn't look that great. He didn't actually impress me too much. This will be, a tough bout for him. As Su comes in, he looks a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, has a little bit more reach. It's going to be a tough one for Mr. Gordon here. What do you see here, Strudge?
Yeah, so what's interesting is, as much as I want to just back the Canadian and go with our Beaver bias as we tend to do, this is one where I kind of put a lot more attention into just what I would expect a fighter to do and where he could kind of do it. And that's where I would say Malcolm Gordon has a shot. He needs to be able to cut him off. He needs to be able to get that takedown. He needs to be able to work him on the ground a little bit. Even if he gets back up, just to tire him out a little bit, because the striking it looks elite. It looks elite to me. The one thing I'll say about Mudaerji is he looks like a really good prospect from a striking perspective. But, to climb the ranks, if there's one thing we've seen, Pies, especially over the course of maybe the last couple months, if you are not a true mixed martial artist, things happen. Your career takes a whole different turn. But in this case, there's a lot to say about both fighters. But Mudaerji's moving, his footwork, his movement, it's really good. He's going to have great size for this division. He is cutting a bit more weight. He's a natural bantamweight, moving down. But I think he's got what it takes to kind of be that southpaw that can work with a switch fighter, and at least try and take it deep and see if he's able to kind of finish later. He's very accurate. That's what I like the most about him. And so Malcolm Gordon, it's game plan. It's game plan ridden. I think he has the skills. I think he needs to know that if you're getting into a striking battle for 3 rounds, I have to feel you're at a disadvantage. And that's where if I was his coaches, yelling at the top of my lungs to make sure that he's aware that, whenever that takedown's available, go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. And try and control that fight. So, in terms of odds, where do you see Vegas landing on this one?
Yeah, so even with, some stats that I want to bring up with the striking, his defense is 58% when we're talking about Mudaerji, but, his loss to Smoka was a lot of he ate a lot of shots there. And I think if you look at him as a whole fighter, he's got what it takes if you really look at the numbers. And so, I don't even think Canadian fighters, unless they do something really big, get the bump either. And I'm going to have to go with Mudaerji being the favorite here. And I don't think he can go crazy. So I do have him at a minus 175 is what I would think.
So he actually comes in as a pretty heavy favorite. He's about minus 335 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. So, Gordon comes in at about a plus 250, plus 270-ish.
Okay, so definitely lost on that one. Paisan! That 50 point range. Out the park, Ken Griffey style, swinging beautifully. See you later. Goodbye. Memory.
So yeah, he does come in as a pretty heavy favorite. The younger fighter, the longer fighter, the bigger fighter. Do you see any value in Gordon here, or is this kind of a stay away for you?
Well, let's look at things like the weigh-ins and stuff like that, because I do believe this is a grueling battle, and he's aware that if he's losing the fight, look at this man's record. He's just lost by submission. You know what I mean? He doesn't get beaten on the feet very much. So if you want to be smart about it, if you are analyzing your fighters, if you want to be John Jones about it, hate him or love him, but the man watches tape, that's the way to go. You just have to avoid doing what the other fighter wants to do. And in this case, it's stand and bang, because he will dodge you. He will outmove you on the feet. He's a bit longer. He might be quicker. Even if Malcolm Gordon can hang in the first couple of rounds, I just see the technique taking over, and he's got really good technique.
And like you said, he's so accurate that's not, a good recipe for Mr. Gordon there. So
exactly.
Stay tuned for that one. We'll kind of watch the weigh-ins and lock that one in. As usual, hit that bell button below, subscribe.
Ring.
All our information is in there. We got playlists for you to click on, some of our prior content, Instagram, Twitter, it's all on there. Our pics will be up there. Always, it's a pleasure, my man.
You too, guys. And frankly, Pi said it best. You search a fighter. There's some guys we've already covered a few times, so feel free to check them out. Subscribe, like. Pies, I love you, bro. Can't wait to get into the next card.